this the 10th EML? 11th, our 11th EML course. Yeah. So some of the people in robes started off in this course way back when. Yeah. So we designed this course for people, either people who are newly ordained or people who are thinking of ordaining. Because when you're okay, and people, mostly the people who come here, are people interested in Tibetan Buddhism. We had one person come from, yeah, one's from Theravada tradition, but mostly Tibetan tradition. And the reason we started this is, well, it's the whole reason for starting the Abbey, is that in Tibetan Buddhism, it's a refugee culture. And so their primary focus is keeping the monasteries in India going. That's the primary focus in order to maintain Tibetan Buddhism, which is the treasure of Tibet. Yeah. And so, of course, in that whole process, Westerners have come and learned the Dharma and wanted to ordain. And so the lamas have given ordination. But in part due to the cultural differences, in part due to language differences, the lamas can't speak directly to the Westerners or even the Chinese, Japanese, Koreans who come, who want to ordain. Then sometimes people get ordained and they don't have the proper understanding before they ordain. They don't know what they're getting themselves into, basically, okay? And so they just say, well, the Dharma's wonderful, I love it, I want to ordain, and the robes look kind of cool, and and they request ordination, and the Lama says, okay, come back Tuesday morning with your robes, and there you go. So they will happily ordain people. In the Vinaya, it says that when you ordain people, that the teacher is responsible for them, teaching them the Dharma and also providing for them, food, clothes, shelter, and medicine. The Tibetans don't stick to that strictly, in part because, in ancient Tibet, you had 1/4 of the male population who was ordained. So, they didn't keep to that strictly and relied on family support to some extent. So Westerners ordain, and then very often they're left at their own devices in terms of supporting themselves financially and in terms of learning what's going on, because unless you have a monastic situation, you're not going to receive the teachings on the Vinaya. You're not going to get monastic training. You'll get Dharma training in a Dharma center, but that's different than being trained as a monastic. So I just realized, do you consider yourself from the Chinese tradition? Maybe I should include...
Japanese, Chinese.
Huh?
My upbringing was sort of Japanese, but now more Chinese.
No, okay, yeah, so...
Vietnamese is in there too.
Okay, okay. So we have, it's not only Tibetan. The reason the Abbey was founded was to provide a place where Western Sangha could live and train and not have to worry about, getting food and clothing and so on, and where they can actually live together in a community. So we started having this EML program every year, just because people need to know kind of, if you want to ordain, what are you getting yourself into? Because I've heard of people I heard of one man who ordained and then he was going to go back and continue living with his wife and children in the same house. And it was like, something's wrong here, he doesn't have the proper preparation. So, in order to give people preparation, in order to also provide a forum where people can air their doubts, air their concerns, ask questions in a completely forthright way that sometimes you feel uncomfortable doing with, teachers from another culture who speak another language. So that's why we started the program. Also because, with the Tibetan Lamas, they'll ordain you, and then you're kind of on your own, and you don't really know what to do, and nobody's explained to you anything before about what you're supposed to do except how to put on your robes. Yeah? And, maybe afterwards, if you request, you'll get some teachings on the Vinaya, but most of the Dharma centers are focused on lay people. Yeah, because Buddhism in the West is, it's focused on the Dharma centers and on lay people, not on monastics. But, there's still people who are interested in the monastic way of life, and I think that in order to have Buddhism spread in non-Tibetan and non-Asian countries, you definitely need the Sangha community. Yeah, and I said Sangha community, not just Sangha members, because there's a power that happens when you have a community that isn't there when you live on your own as a monastic. So I've lived both ways, and I can tell you from experience there's a big difference. Okay, so the purpose of the program is just, to provide that open space for asking questions, for learning, for discussing with people who are like-minded, who have the same interest as you, and who may have the same challenges as you or the same doubts as you. And it's very helpful to talk to each other and share experiences and so on. We learn a lot from each other. And also, by being here, you get some experience of what it's like living in community. Yeah, because often we have this, we're held up with models like Milarepa, that you ordain and then you find that mountain cave and you go off for the rest of your life and meditate and become a Buddha, and forget everything else. That was kind of what I wanted to do, when I first ordained, that's what I thought. My teacher didn't let us do that, though, even though all of us wanted to. But we have that kind of idea. And, we often don't understand that, yes, at the end you want to have that kind of deep, solitary meditation practice, but you have to do a lot of preparation before you can sustain that. Yeah, that finding a well-endowed cave is not sufficient. You need a well-endowed mind that can handle living in that cave. Okay, and so a lot of that gets developed when you're living together with other people, because living together with other people definitely challenges us. Yeah, we all say, I want to become a Buddha in order to benefit sentient beings. This is my life's goal, the heart of my life. But I want to do it by myself because these sentient beings around me are so obnoxious, they drive me crazy. Yeah? So something's not working in our attitude if we have that kind of take on it, yeah? So, because living with other people is challenging and following a schedule is challenging. When you live alone, you wake up when you want, you eat when you want, you eat what you want, you do the dishes when you want, if you want. They may stack up for a few days and then you do them. When you're on your own, you can do whatever you want, okay? When you're in a community, you can't, yeah? And that pushes our buttons, and that's part of the training. Yeah, that's part of the training, is to look and okay, I'm not getting what I want. Yeah, I want this, and they're not giving it to me. Yeah, and then to look at that mind that is so self-centered, you know, that I want this and they're not giving it to me. And they make up these dumb rules. You have to get up at 5 in the morning. Why can't we get up at 6 in the morning? If everything's merely labeled and merely conventional, let's get up at 6 instead. Yeah. Yeah, stand in line behind Venerable Tarpa. She's the leader of that movement. Yeah. So, you know, we start with these very basic things that, you know, we want and that we can't get what we want, you know, which is very challenging to us, especially those of us who grew up in a Western culture where we're taught the self is inviolable? You know, I mean, the self is just exalted, the self is supreme, you know, I should be able to get everything I want, the world owes it to me, okay? And then, you know, you find that on a day-to-day basis, you can't even follow a simple schedule. So it's good, isn't it? It's rather shocking. Yeah, it's like, oh, I thought I was like this easygoing, disciplined person, and now it's like, why can't they have breakfast not at 7:30 but at 7:45? You know, and then another person says, why are we waiting until 7:30 if meditation ends at 7? Why don't we have breakfast at 7:15? And everybody wants the schedule in their own way and is unhappy about the way it is. Yeah. And then we're democratic, so then we have to discuss it and we have to vote. So we spend 1 or 2 days, 8 hours a day discussing it. Yeah. Then we vote. Yeah, some people are happy, some people are unhappy about the results of the vote, but you go along with it for the time being until you decide that you can't stand the schedule anymore. And anyway, the person who set it up, they've decided that they've changed their mind and they want it different too. So then you bring it back to the community, and in democratic fashion, we discuss it for another 2 or 3 days, 8 hours a day, vote again, and then set up a new schedule. Are you getting what I'm saying? That we spend our day and night discussing stupidagios, like what time to have breakfast. You know, in the course of everything that's happening in this universe and all the misery of sentient beings, is breakfast being at the time we want it of utmost importance. You know? And then we're confronted with, well, I want to work for the benefit of all sentient beings and lead them to enlightenment, as long as they eat breakfast at the time I want. You know? So we're put face to face with our own self-centeredness, with our own attachment. So that's good. That's good. Yeah. So for sure that will happen in the program. Yeah. And that's good, because then we get to see, you know, how our mind works. And we get to see, you know, what are the assumptions that I'm operating on, that I'm living under. Yeah, and sometimes it's rather surprising, you know, because we find out our motto, yeah, our MO is, I want what I want when I want it. Yeah, and I don't want what I don't want when I don't want it, and I will let you know. Yeah? But I have compassion for all sentient beings, except for you, you know, because you're getting in my way today, you know. So this is the value of living in community. So part of the idea of this program is to give you that experience of living in community so that you can see how your mind works and start to make some changes that will actually benefit you in your life. Okay? So the program, the goal of the program is not to convince you all to ordain ASAP. Yeah, that's not the goal of the program. Repeat, and this is on the recorder. Yeah, that's the goal of the program is not to get everybody to ordain. It's to give people information so that they can think about things in a reasonable way. Okay? To give you information to help you grow. My philosophy about the Abbey is, as long as somebody is here, our responsibility is to help them as much as we can. And that's it. You know, what people choose to do is their choice. Yeah. So there's no pressure, but we always have the hair clippers handy. No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, it's no pressure. It's really to give people space, not to put people in boxes. Okay? And that's the same here at the Abbey. We have the Anagarika time. That's what Brian has been doing since January. So it's a time of exploring and seeing what it's like before you make a decision. Yeah? So I think that's very helpful for people rather than just running into something with very little information or understanding. Okay. I always tell people who come here, there's 3 things that nobody likes. And if you can accept that nobody likes these, including yourself, then you will be happy staying here. Yeah? So first thing is schedule. Yeah? Kind of what I was just saying. You want to change the schedule. One person wants to get up earlier, one person wants to get up later. You know, our meditation session's too long. You know, let's change the time of it. You know, we don't like the schedule. So nobody likes it. Yeah? And everybody lives by it, and we're keeping it the way it is. Okay? You know, we see that on Tuesdays, because the community has a class that then will change the morning and afternoon activities. But, you know, this is just the way the schedule is. If you have health problems or something and can't keep the schedule, then say something. You know, we're not trying to wear people into the ground. Yeah. So say something if you have health difficulties. Okay, that's the first thing people don't like. Second thing, food and how the kitchen is run. Yeah. She made, what was it today? Lasagna. Yeah, she cut the pieces so big, I can't eat that much. Yeah, why did she cut the pieces so big? And I really like lasagna with spinach in it, you know, with frozen spinach in it. It's really good that way. And there's no frozen spinach in the lasagna today. Yeah, at least it wasn't rice. Rice morning, rice afternoon, rice evening. And then there's the kidney beans. Oh, can't stand those. Yeah, but I love the tomato sauce. Yeah, but Venerable Tarpa doesn't like the tomato sauce. And they make her, whenever there's tomatoes in something, they make her a special dish. But whenever there's something I don't like, they don't make me a special dish. I mean, come on. Yeah, and you know, So there's always, the food is never what we want it to be, okay? The way the kitchen is run is never the way you want it to be. You guys came here, at least, you get to wear the white hats. You should have been here where they had to wear the hair nets. Yeah, last summer we had guys with beards wearing hair nets. Of course, their beard's only this long, but the health department doesn't want any hair even this long falling into the food, and God forbid that we don't follow the regulations of the health department, you know. Okay. So, so there's some discussion about that, and some discussion about which sink you use to wash your hands in, because if you wash your hands in the wrong sink, forget it, you know. Yeah. Don't let Venerable Sultram, oh, she's pointing to Venerable Tarpa.
I'm happy if you wash yours.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Venerable Chuni. Yeah, well, Venerable Chuni does some of the stocking. Yeah, but she never stocks what you want, so forget it. You know, it's like, you know, tell her what you like, and then she'll get the opposite. So, so nobody likes the way the kitchen's run, and we all have ideas about how to improve it. Yeah, and you know what? Hardly anyone around here wants to hear the ideas. Somebody might. Somebody might. Last year we listened to ideas of people. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about this year. Yeah. But, you know, go ahead and suggest anyway. Yeah, somebody might think you have a good idea, so. See, this was the big thing that I learned when I, because I took my novice ordination in the Tibetan tradition and my full ordination in Taiwan. So when you go to Taiwan, when I was in Taiwan, they only had one ordination a year in those days. So there were about, 450, 500 people there. And we were usually in the chanting hall, but we often were in the dining room for our classes. But to get everybody in the dining room, they had us all go into the chanting hall and then turn around and go from the chanting hall into the dining room. There was nothing set up for how to get all those people into the dining room directly. I had an idea of how to do it that was so efficient, and you know I'm American, so efficiency is really important. So of course I wanted to share my wonderful idea with these people about how to get everybody into the dining room fast. And nobody wanted to hear it. And anyway, nobody understood English, and I didn't speak Mandarin or Taiwanese. But even if I had, nobody wanted to hear it. Yeah? And I was like, how can they not want to hear my fantastic idea? You know? Well, that was because I was there to learn, not to control. And there's a difference between learning and controlling. So that's, you know, I've been through that too. Third thing nobody likes.
Practice.
Yeah, the way we have the practice organized in the meditation hall. Why are we reciting the names of the 35 Buddhas so slow? We should recite them faster. Anyway, I have a better English translation. But why aren't we reciting them in Tibetan? Or Sanskrit is better, that's where they came from. Why are we doing them in this English, not even chanting them, reciting them slow? I prostrate to the endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious community. You know? And nobody's doing the prostrations, right? They're all doing it their own way. Yeah. And, you know, why are we doing this twice a day now, or only once a day? Twice a day. Yeah. Yeah, so why can't we do it once a day? Yeah. And the blessing of the speech, you could do it in half the time than they do it. They take so long doing the blessing of the speech. Yeah. And even the abbess has told them to speed it up, but they don't listen to her anyway. Yeah. And I want more silent time in the meditation time, because I have these other practices I do. And somebody else says, oh, I don't know how to do Lam Rim. I want more guided meditation. Well, you want guided meditation, but there's this one person, when they lead guided meditation, they talk through the whole meditation. Why can't they just say the points and let it give us some time to, in silence, to think about it? Yeah. But then this other person just says, meditate on precious human life, and doesn't even give you any points to think about. So why can't they get it together and lead these meditations properly anyway? Yeah? Oh,
You might have to start leading some. Yeah, right.
yeah. It's coming. Yeah. So, everybody has ways you can improve everything, okay? And what we're put up against living in community is that what I want is really not the most important thing in the universe. And, and that if I push too hard, somebody's going to look me in the eye and say, did you come here to get your way, or did you come here to train your mind? And then you're going to go, okay. Then there will be days while you're here that you love it, and you think the community is the most wonderful thing in the world. And other days when you are packing your bag and you're ready to go down that hill. Okay? It's like, I've had enough of this place, get me down that hill. And you get down to the bottom of the hill and you look to the right and you look to the left. And you say, maybe I need to go back up the hill. Okay, so just to let you know that, our minds are not steady. Our minds are fluctuating, our emotions are fluctuating, our moods are fluctuating. And so when you live together with a group of people, all of this, you see all of it very clearly, because the way the whole community, the way the place is set up, is designed to help us to see this stuff. And you know what? Everybody else sees it too. Yeah. So everybody sees not only their own stuff, but they see everybody else's stuff. So it becomes totally useless to try and put on a good face. Yeah. Because everybody else, Okay, so that's one thing that, when you're living in community, you learn to let go of a lot of that attachment to reputation, because you realize that in a community lifestyle, you can't keep up that marvelous reputation that you would like to present to the world, because you're living with people 24/7. Yeah? And so one important thing about monastic life, and that you will learn in the program, is to open up and to be transparent. And, in our discussions, say things when you feel comfortable. If you ever want to abstain, that's fine. Yeah. But know that this is a place where you can say what you want and nobody's going to faint or gasp in horror, yeah, or say, oh, how could a person like you sit next to me? It's okay. Yeah. That people here tend to be quite kind and quite tolerant. but you know, all of us are put with that challenge of, you know, we have to open up and stop feeling ashamed of what's inside, stop feeling horrified of what's inside, and just admit this is what there is. You know, this is why I came to the Dharma, to practice the path, to learn to manage some of this mess inside of myself, and to know that everybody else equally has a mess inside of themselves. Yeah, so nobody else is going to look at you and go, look at so-and-so's mess. Have you ever seen some person who's so untogether? And if you do that, they're going to say, yes, you. Yeah. So our whole supposition is, you know, we are defiled beings. We all have the Buddha nature. We all, in the depth of our heart, really admire the Buddha's teachings, and especially the bodhicitta, you know. And we're all still messed up sentient beings. So welcome to the club. Yeah, so we don't compete with each other. We don't feel ashamed of ourselves. We support each other. Yeah, because we're all growing in the same direction. Yeah, so we support each other and we help each other. Okay. Trying to give you some introduction to the week. What else?
Offering service.
Oh, yes.
Do you need the mic?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
So offering service. So that is Sergeant Joyous effort. She actually Sergeant Joy went on vacation to the Bahamas after how many EMLs? There were a few EMLs where she was quite a leading presence, you know. Joy, Sergeant Joy, yeah. Her BBC talks, her Bodhisattva boot camp, yeah. So, yeah. So Sergeant Joy she's very sweet now, because the old Sergeant Joy went off to the Bahamas, yeah. But Sergeant Joy's joyous effort and her cohort, is a lieutenant lower or higher than a sergeant? No.
Lieutenant is well
Higher. So is she private?
a corporal.
She's corporal. Okay, so corporal joyous effort. Here. Yeah.
She's more like a master corporal.
Master, yeah. She just got promoted. She's almost a sergeant. You better be careful, you're going to lose your job. Okay, so yeah, in the community, part of, okay, my philosophy about learning Dharma is it's not just what you do in your Dharma teachings, okay? Dharma teachings are one part of it, discussion is another part of it, and how you live your life is another part of it. And we always live in relationship to sentient beings. There's nowhere where we can go where we are not in relationship to sentient beings, where we are not dependent on other sentient beings. And so we have to help each other, yeah? To stay alive, we have to help each other. And so that's what the offering service time is about. It's the time when we help each other and when we help the entire community. Mm-hmm. What often happens in the West, what you often have is you have a city Dharma center and you have a retreat center. That's what the normal things you see in Western Buddhism. So the city Dharma center, it's in a city, you go to it, you know, however many nights a week, you know, learn, hear the teachings, meditate, maybe do some chanting. You leave and go home. That's it, you know? and somebody else takes care of the center, and maybe they have some volunteers, maybe they hire a staff, but you come there, maybe you pay membership dues, maybe you give some dana, but you come there and you leave, okay? Retreat, and you learn a lot, and you love the Dharma, and that's great. Then retreat centers, you go to when you want to do a retreat. So sometimes there's a retreat or a course. They call courses very often retreats. But you go, you pay, for your room, for your board, for the upkeep. Sometimes you pay for the teacher, sometimes you give dana for the teacher, but you pay the retreat center, and then you live there. They cook for you, maybe you chop a few vegetables or wash a couple of dishes, but not much. They cook for you, they clean for you, they do all the maintenance on the place. You just come there, sit down, do your meditation retreat, and then pick up and go home. What a monastery is a very different place. It's not a retreat center. It's not a city center. We don't have a staff here. There's nobody here that's paid. There's nobody here that takes care of everybody else because, that's their job. But together we function as a community. And so everybody has unique abilities, and we all offer our unique abilities up to our own capacities, which are different, but the purpose is to benefit each other, because by preserving the community, we help everybody who's here now have a good Dharma experience. We help all the people who will come here in the future to have a good Dharma experience. And we're also aware that we're able to be here now because of all the people who have offered service to the community in all the previous years. We're almost 12 years old, so in almost 12 years, all the people have offered service for that time. Okay? So offering service is part of our Dharma practice. We deliberately don't call it work, because work is something you have to do that you don't want to do. Offering service is our chance to give back. It's our chance to be part of a community. It's our chance to contribute. And so we want to offer service to the community, to every individual who's here. And that's part of our practice. So some of the offering service jobs you may like, and some you may not like. Some will challenge you because it's out of your ken, We've had people come here who have never walked in a forest before. And walking in the forest is a new experience for them. And then when we have them work in the forest, then they're like, oh my God, because you never did that before. We've had people come here who we've had to teach how to sweep a floor because they've always had nannies or parents who have picked up after them and taken care of them. Here, nobody's going to do that. So if you don't know how to sweep a floor or run a vacuum cleaner, we'll teach you. We've had people come who don't know how to make their bed. If you're one of them, we'll teach you how to make your bed, because your room needs to be clean and it needs to be tidy, because your room is an expression of your mind. And if your room is a mess, usually the mind is a mess. So we try and keep things neat. So the offering service is something that we do for others. It's something that we do for ourselves because it helps us train our mind. And as you'll hear in the offering service, recitation that we do before we all do our different chores, is sometimes differences of opinions come up. And that's when you really get to see how effective your Dharma practice is. What do you do when there's a difference of opinion? Okay? Do you automatically just cave in and say, well, nobody's going to listen to me anyway, so I'm going to shut up? You know? Do you know, go on the warpath and say, my idea is the best and I'm going to advocate for that idea until they do it? Yeah? How do we act when there's a difference of opinion? When somebody doesn't like our idea, do we then say to ourselves, they don't like me? Do we take it personally when somebody doesn't like our idea? Yeah? Or when somebody asks us a question, do we take the question as a complaint, as a symbol of their not trusting us? Or do we understand the question as somebody just needs more guidance? Yeah? So the whole thing about, you know, watching how we work together is an amazing experience for watching our mind and looking at our old habits and beginning to question some of those old habits, you know? Because, okay, every time there's conflict, I just avoid it, I give in. Of course, I hold some resentment inside, but that's better than having to express myself, you know? Do you really want to go through life like that? Yeah? Do you really want to go through life like that? Holding resentment, never expressing yourself, having some good ideas, but never putting them out there to benefit others? Really? Is that the best way to serve sentient beings? Or you go to the other extreme, I don't like this. You're having me, what do? Mow the lawn, you know, cut the limbs off the tree, wash the dishes. I don't like the way it's being done. You put too much bleach in the bleach water. Oh. And look what's happening to my hands because of the bleach water. Oh, I can't stand this, you know? And well, let's get rid of this bleach water. You know, or whatever it is, you know. It's like, I don't like this. It's stupid. Why are they doing this anyway? They're telling me to go weed a garden in which more weeds are going to grow tomorrow. You know, give me a break. Why am I weeding this garden? This is ridiculous. Yeah? I could be meditating on compassion. Yeah? I could be thinking about the emptiness of the weeds. Why are they making pull out these weeds? They're just going to grow tomorrow. Okay? And I'm going to let everybody know how stupid I think this is, you know? And so then you begin to see, oh, that's my habit, how I deal with everything. I go on the warpath when there's a different idea. I don't know how to discuss things with people because I always have to win. The other person won't even discuss things because they're afraid of losing. Yeah? So you know, you begin to see your own patterns and you begin to question some of those patterns and say, are those patterns really serving me in my life? Yeah? Or are those patterns motivated by afflicted mental states? Yeah? And I'm trying to diminish my afflictions. So if those patterns are motivated by afflictions, then I need to look at them more carefully. Okay? So the offering service is really an incredible opportunity to learn more about ourselves. It's also an opportunity, like I said, to offer service to the community. It's an opportunity to get to know all the other people you're working with too, because it's a lot of fun and you can have a lot of good discussions while you're offering service. And you can also practice the thought training practice. When you're pulling the weeds, you're pulling the defilements out of the minds of sentient beings. When you're washing the dishes, you're washing the anger out of the minds of sentient beings. Yeah? So you can apply some Dharma to everything you're doing so that just the way we live our life becomes a manifestation of the Dharma. What else? When you wake up in the morning, try to have your first thought when you wake up, okay? Today, as much as possible, I'm not going to harm anybody, either physically or verbally or even with my thoughts. Yeah. Also today, most important, I'm going to benefit people in whatever big or small way I can. Yeah? We're not all Mother Teresa and the Dalai Lama, but we can benefit others. So we look at big or small ways that we can do that. And then also, the third thing to think about every morning is today I'm really going to increase my bodhicitta. I want to hold very dear to my heart that motivation to attain full awakening for the benefit of sentient beings. Yeah. And so generate that motivation, as the first thing you do in the morning. And take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, who are going to help us learn how to do that. And then during the day, remember it as much as you can. And in the evening, reflect on your motivation and do a little evaluation. How did I do today? Yeah? Well, I said I wasn't, going to harm anybody, but, somebody got on my nerves and I griped at them. Yeah, so I regret that. How can I work with my mind tomorrow so that if a similar kind of thing happens, I won't gripe at them? What can I do? And then you use the Dharma that you've learned to think of how else to look at the situation and how to handle the emotional energy in yourself. Okay, so in this way we really learn and grow day by day by using our own life as the practice area. Okay. Anybody have questions or comments? Did I make you all terrified?
I guess I was thinking that there's a joy in changing, and that we see that we've all changed a lot. The one thing that you did say, but I would kind of emphasize, is that the thing about transparency is kind of a core value here, and that one thing that comes up with that is everybody has a lot of appreciation of everyone who gets here, because we know that we're all kind of going in the same direction and trying, and we all know that so there's a real sense of everyone going in the same direction, even though in the moment we might not be.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a big thing.
Yeah. That thing really of supporting each other and being transparent. Yeah. And that you will see yourself change. And what's even more astonishing is when the people around you see you change. Yeah. Because then you sometimes we can't see our own change, but the people around us see us change, Because when we first come here, we're talking or thinking in a certain way, and then gradually, how we look at life changes, how we relate to ourselves and other people changes. And it's really quite beautiful to see how people change. Okay, so that's a little bit about the, any other questions before I go on?
Sometimes when you come to a new place, the world is determined by, competition. So you want to do it the best way, and then look at others, how they are more advanced, and then your whole way of dealing with daily activities is driven by that aspiration, looking how others are doing it, and constantly
comparing ourselves,
So I
yeah.
think that's a big interest to approach that from the beginning.
Yeah.
To look at it.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. This comparison mind that we're brought up with as children, you know, to compare ourselves to other people. It's really a disaster, this comparison mind, because when we compare ourselves to others, usually we think we aren't as good as them, okay? So then we feel lousy about ourselves and jealous of them because they're better. Other times, sometimes when we compare ourselves with others, we come out best. Then we get conceited and arrogant. Other times when we think we're equal, then we really, you know, it's like I'm gonna beat that guy, I'm gonna be better than them, okay? And that becomes the focus of us, yeah. One of our friends who doesn't live here, she lives in Seattle, but she told me one day that she realized how this whole thing of competition permeates her life. She hadn't realized this before, because she usually took the bus home from work, but she had started riding her bike. And at one point when she was riding her bike, she was next to the bus she used to ride, and she started cycling fast because she wanted to get to home before the bus got her home. She said, I was competing with the bus. You know, she realized it. So what was I doing? You know, God, I do this in every aspect of my life. I'm always competing. Yeah. So it was a big revelation for her. Yeah? So, you know, to really be careful of that mind, because it just fosters arrogance and jealousy and unhappiness and low self-esteem, and also the way we compare ourselves to others, we're not seeing ourselves accurately, and we're not seeing the other person accurately either. Yeah? So the whole thing is just made up, fabricated uselessness, basically, you know? And because we come into this world with different karma. So we have different dispositions, different interests, different abilities. And it's good that we're different, you know? And I rejoice when people are better than me. Because wait until I run the kitchen. Then you'll really love lunch, okay? Yeah, so I'm really glad that other people cook better than me, than I do, okay? So, you know, we learn to, instead of practicing competition, to practice rejoicing, you know? And to look at others' talents and abilities and say, how wonderful, you know? They have that talent, they have that ability, that's wonderful. I can learn from them. If they're better than me, it benefits me because now I have somebody to learn from. If I'm the best, that doesn't benefit me at all, because who am I going to learn from? Okay? Yeah, so the whole competition mind. Then I'm sure while you're here, you will be spending a lot of time thinking about friends and relatives who are not here and what they think about you, right? Because what other people think about us is of crucial importance. So even they aren't here, you're wondering, what do they think about me? I'm at a Buddhist monastery. What do my old friends think about me being at a Buddhist monastery? Yeah, what do my parents think about it? What does my ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend think about it? Oh, my ex-boyfriend, oh, I'm supposed to be meditating on renunciation. Okay, so, you know, you think about all sorts of people who aren't here, and you worry about what do they think of me. Now, we don't always phrase it in terms of, I'm worried about what they think of me, but often that's what it boils down to. We usually phrase it in terms of, I worry if they're happy or unhappy. Yeah, meaning happy or unhappy because what I do is the key determining thing in their lives that make them happy or unhappy. That's how important we are. That we're the key determining point in somebody else's life of whether they're going to be happy or unhappy. It's a little bit inflated, isn't it? Yeah? Are we really that important? That somebody else is just going to, be overwhelmed by, unhappiness because we're not texting them, we're not emailing them, Really? Are we that important? Yes. I'm so important. They're going to be so upset. So we usually phrase it in, I don't want them to be unhappy. But it usually boils down to, I don't want them to disapprove of what I'm doing. Yeah. Because that's one of the chief rules of the universe, is everybody's got to approve of what I do. Yeah? Everybody. There is no choice. Everybody must approve of what I do. And everybody must like me. There's no room for exceptions. This is a rule of the universe. So how dare I do something that may result in somebody else being unhappy? Because if they're unhappy, then I'm a bad person. So I better call them to make sure that they're okay. But Venerable Samten won't let me get near the telephone. She stands around that telephone all day. She won't let me near. And she took my phone. And she's hiding it away in some box. Maybe I can sneak in at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, find that box that she hid my phone in. But the box is locked. There's got to be a key around. Yeah, got to get my phone. My phone is a part of my hand. They took part of my hand. And my family is suffering because they haven't heard from me. I know I told them I was going to be away for 3 weeks, and I know they're expecting that. But I know my mother is sobbing, and I know my father is pacing the floor. And I just can't bear to think of them like that. I've got to call them, So there's Venerable Samten. She went to the bathroom. I'll lock her in.
6 o'clock down here.
Or there's this computer sitting out there. Maybe I could just use that one. Yeah. Everybody usually goes to bed. They're in bed by 10. They're usually knocked out and exhausted. Yeah, so at 1 minute past 10, I'll go down and I'll use that computer. Yeah, I'll email Mom and Dad. I'll email my ex-boyfriend. Oh, but we've broken up. Yeah, because all these people are suffering because they're not hearing from me. Yeah. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm fine. I'm having a blast. Yeah, it's like one of the letters you wrote when you went to summer camp when you were 10 years old. Yeah, don't worry about me, Mom and Dad, I'm doing fine. I love you to bits. Just don't yell at me anymore. Yeah? Okay, so you'll have a lot of that going on. Yeah, I think mom and dad will do okay. Yeah, your next boyfriend, your ex-girlfriend is already dating somebody else. Forget it. They've forgotten about you. Yeah. But my dog, my dog misses me. I know, he's pacing the floor, going from bed to bed. Nobody, you know, he can't sleep. He's sleeping on my bed, but I'm not there. My poor dog is so miserable. Oh, how can I be away from my dog so long? Okay. That's a real problem.
It's funny, because these are all stories that come up.
Yeah, they're all things that have, come up. Yeah. Mm.
But I love your expressions. Your face just is just so entertaining. Especially when you were talking about the poor dog.
Yeah. How can you imagine this poor dog, how much he's suffering? Yeah. You know, and I'm sure the people I left him with have forgotten to feed him. He must be emaciated. I've only been gone a day, but I know he's lost half his body mass. And he's whimpering. And nobody is giving him his dog biscuits. Bye, everybody. I'm going home to my dog. Because my dog loves me.
And my schedule.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, your cat doesn't listen to your schedules as well. Dogs kind of go by your schedules. Cats,
They have
their own schedule.
they have their own schedule.
Yeah, we go by their schedule.
Yeah, it's like, it's 11 o'clock, feed me. I know you've only been asleep 45 minutes, but I'm hungry. It's 1:30, feed me. Last time you knocked me off the bed, this time feed me. Yeah. Maitri's like this, and Maitri sleeps in my room. Yeah, Karun and Mudita tell me that Venerable Semke gets up and feeds her in the middle of the night. What kind of mother are you that you don't feed me? Yeah, I'm going to move in with Venerable Semke. Okay. Yeah, so so we make a big deal out of, attachment to approval. Yeah, what other people think of us. And that issue will come up a lot as we're discussing ordination. Yeah, that comes up a lot because when you ordain, you're not 100% of the people are going to think what you do is great, and you've got to be okay with it. But no matter what you do in your life, not everybody's going to think it's great. And even if you did exactly what your parents want you to do, it's not going to be enough. And even if you do everything your friends want you to do, they're going to want more. Yeah, so you might as well give up and accept from the get-go that these people are just not going to approve of you. And that doesn't mean you're a failure. I mean, if you want to think you're a failure, that's okay, it's your choice. Yeah, but just check up. Yeah, check up if other people not approving means that we're a failure.